There is a simple 5-second routine that you should be doing with your newborn every single time they sleep, starting from the day you bring them home. But most new parents have never heard of it, and they often only find out about it when they're sitting in a specialist's office, facing months of appointments and interventions to fix a problem that was almost entirely preventable. I'm Sarah. I'm not a doctor. I'm a mom on a mission to read all the parenting books and studies so you don't have to. And today, we need to talk about one of the most important and most overlooked things you can do to support your baby's healthy physical development from day one. Now, before I reveal the simple routine that changes everything, it's really important that you understand why your newborn's head does what it does. Because if you've noticed your tiny baby's head seems to always be flopped to one side, I want to first reassure you, you are not alone, and initially, this is completely normal. For the first 3 months of their life, it is totally expected for a baby's head to fall to one side when they're lying on their back. It's not a sign that you've done something wrong or that there's an immediate problem. It happens for a few key reasons. First, the most obvious one, they just don't have the neck muscle strength yet to hold that relatively large, heavy head perfectly centered. Think about how wobbly they are. Holding their head in the middle is a skill they will learn, but it's not one they are born with. Second, the journey through the birth canal is an intense one. It can cause a baby's head to be temporarily molded into a slightly asymmetrical or cone shape. This molding can make it physically easier or more comfortable for their head to rest on one particular side rather than sitting flat and centered. And third, just like we have a favorite hand to write with, babies can develop a natural preference for turning their head in one direction. They might find the light from a window more interesting, or the sound of your voice as you move around the room, so they turn that way. Again, totally normal. So, you have a baby whose head naturally lolls to the side. When does this normal, expected behavior cross the line and become a red flag? The turning point is one word: consistency. It's not a problem if their head falls to the side. It becomes a problem when it always falls to the same side. Every nap, every night, every time they're in their car seat. That constant, unrelenting pressure on one single spot is the real danger. And it can lead to 2 major and increasingly common conditions. The first one is called positional plagiocephaly. That's the medical term for what's more commonly known as flathead syndrome. To understand this, you have to remember that a newborn skull is not one solid piece of bone like ours. It's made up of soft, pliable plates with gaps between them, designed to allow for that incredible brain growth that happens in the first year. Now, think of your baby's skull like soft, unbaked dough. If you leave that ball of dough resting on the counter in one spot for hours and hours, it will naturally start to flatten in that spot. Your baby's skull is the same. That constant pressure on one area can cause a flat spot to develop on the back or side of the head. Now, it's critical to know that this does not affect their brain development. The brain inside is perfectly fine. But it is primarily a cosmetic issue that can become quite significant. It can lead to asymmetrical facial features, where one eye looks smaller or one ear is pushed forward, and in some cases, it can even affect how the eyes align and work together, potentially impacting vision. The second risk is called positional torticollis. Torticollis just means twisted neck. When your baby's head is always tilted to the same side, the muscles on that side of their neck don't get a chance to stretch out. They stay in a shortened, contracted position. Over time, those muscles can become tight and stiff. This makes it difficult and sometimes painful for your baby to turn their head to the opposite side. This isn't just about head turning, it impacts their balance, their ability to reach and roll evenly, and it can create huge challenges with breastfeeding, especially on the side where they struggle to turn. These 2 conditions often go hand in hand. The torticollis makes it hard to turn away from the preferred side, which then leads to more time on that one spot, which worsens the plagiocephaly. It's a frustrating cycle. Before we get to the solutions, I'm curious, did your doctor or anyone else ever mention this to you? Let me know in the comments below. It's a topic I feel so passionately about because so many parents are left in the dark. Okay, now that you know the risks, take a deep breath. I don't say this to scare you, I say this to empower you. Because the good news, the really good news, is that prevention is incredibly straightforward. You don't need fancy, expensive pillows or equipment. In fact, those can be dangerous for safe sleep. All you need is awareness and consistency. Your prevention plan all comes down to two key approaches: directly helping your baby and cleverly designing their environment. Let's start with strategy number 1, direct assistance. This is what I call the helping hand approach. It's about you, the parent, gently intervening. First, during awake playtime, when your baby is lying on their bath on the playmat, just take a moment to notice which way their head is turned. If they were looking to the right, gently and slowly turn their heads so they are now looking to the left. Make a game of it. Show them a high contrast card on one side, then move it to the other. You are their guide. Second, during naps. This is the simple routine I mentioned at the very beginning. Every time you lay your baby down for a nap, make a conscious effort to change the direction their head is facing. It's that simple. If their head was turned to the right for their morning nap, make sure you gently turn it to the left for their afternoon nap. Right nap, left nap. Third, while you're holding them. Whether you're carrying your baby in your arms or wearing them in a carrier, just be mindful. We all get comfortable holding them in one position, but every so often, gently adjust their head so they aren't always tucked into the same side. This little adjustment, done consistently, adds up. Now for strategy number 2, environmental design. This is the clever parent approach. This is about making small changes to their world so they do the work for you naturally. First, arrange their play area. Babies are curious. They want to look at interesting things. So, place the most interesting toys, or yourself, on the side you want them to look at. If they have a strong preference for looking right, make the left side the party side for a while. Put the black and white mobile over there. Sit on their left side and sing to them. Encourage them to actively turn away from their preferred side. Second, and this is my favorite tip, position the crib strategically. Most rooms have one side that's more active. It has the door, the window, the area where you walk past. The other side might be a plain wall. So position the crib so one end of the crib faces the action and the other faces the wall. Then all you have to do is alternate which end of the crib you place your baby's head at each night. One night their head is at the boring end, so they will naturally turn their head toward the action. The next night, you place their head at the action end, and to see out into the room, they will have to turn their head the other way. It's brilliant and requires zero effort in the middle of the night. And third, switch the arm you use for feeding and holding. This applies to both bottle feeding and breastfeeding parents. We all have a dominant side. I totally get it. It feels more natural to hold them in the crook of your left arm. But if you make a conscious effort to switch to your right arm for every other feeding, you force them to look in a different direction to see you. It might feel awkward for you for a minute, but it's a powerful neck stretch for them. When you do these simple things, I want you to know the why behind your actions. You're not just mindlessly moving their head around. You are actively doing two profoundly important things. You are gently stretching their neck muscles on both sides, ensuring they stay loose and balanced to prevent torticollis. And you are ensuring that the pressure on their soft, precious skull is evenly distributed, helping it grow into a beautiful round shape, preventing plagiocephaly. Now, for a critical warning. This advice is for prevention. It is essential that you pay attention to your baby. If you notice any of the following, it is time to stop guessing and see your pediatrician or a pediatric physical therapist. 1. You already see a flat spot starting to develop. You feel actual resistance, or your baby gets very fussy when you gently try to turn their head to the non-preferred side. And 3, despite all your efforts, they consistently and forcefully favor one side over the other. Please trust your gut. Early intervention is key, and a professional can give you a specific plan for your baby. So, to bring it all together, proactively and gently encouraging your newborn to turn their head in both directions through direct help and clever environmental design is one of the simplest yet most powerful things you can do to support their healthy physical development and prevent problems down the road. Now, another incredibly powerful tool for preventing a flat head and strengthening the neck is tummy time. But let's be honest, most babies seem to hate it, and it's often because we, the parents, introduce it in a way that's just too challenging at first. Putting a tiny newborn flat on the floor is like asking us to do an hour of push-ups with no training. So if this was helpful, please give it a like, and be sure to subscribe for more evidence-based parenting made simple. Click here to watch my next video where I break down 4 other tummy time positions you can start today to make it an activity you and your baby actually enjoy. I'll see you over there.